DBS community, welcome back to another Dark Mechikabura video here with Kyle Chris. And today I'm actually very excited to bring you guys my Mechikabura list from over the weekend for our second store championship. Ended up going first place undefeated with the Demon King himself. Now before I go into the deck, a little PSA. There's been a lot of negativity going around with this leader. A lot of negativity. And in the nicest way I can say this, because I'm a nice guy. Read the cards. Don't give an opinion on a leader, on an archetype, publicly, on a platform, until you read the cards. If you read the cards, you play against the leader multiple times, you win. Maybe your deck is just very good against it. This just goes for a lot of things in this game, or just in general. If you don't have a lot of information about something, just say, you know what, I don't know what it does. I don't know about it. I'm not going to give an opinion about it. Don't say it's trash and then change your mind 2 minutes later. Just makes you look kind of silly. So that's all I'm going to say about it. So this leader is great. Shout out to Nicholas. I think he was in a FOE video today. Shout out to Eddie for posting it, honestly. He ended up getting top 8 in PPG Miami with the Mechikabura list. His list is very good. My list is slightly different. The biggest change is that I run 56 cards, and I'm gonna explain that here in a second. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. Hit the bell for notifications. If you guys think this leader's trash, hit the like button. If you guys like this leader, hit the like button. Regardless, hit the like button. It's better. Promise. Trust me. Anyways, we run 56 cards because when I turn my leader sideways and I draw 2 cards, I draw 2 Dragon Balls from my deck or my life. Worst part about this leader is if your Dragon Balls are in your life. I've had games where I've had 3 or 4 Dragon Balls in my life. Game's basically over at that point because I have to get those cards from my life to awaken. Now, the way that you can do that is, yes, you can shuffle better. You can stack your deck. Of course, those are all options that you do not want to do. But the more logical way is you just run more cards. Now, you might be thinking, Chris, if I run more cards, my consistency is going to get messed up. And that's where you would be wrong, at least for this deck. Because I have the ability to burst these Dragon Balls out from my deck with other cards, and I search 2 cards per turn, not a big deal. I have the ability to search 4 cards every turn with my leader ability, and I'll explain that why. But when you do get 7 Dragon Balls, you restand 1, draw 1, and you also put a card from your opponent's drop area, a battle card, in the warp. So do not forget that on the awaken side. And your opponent chooses. So when you awaken, your opponent chooses a card in their drop area, a battle card, and warps it. On this side, you attack, you draw. Main effect, you bottom deck a card to either steal one of your opponent's battle cards, 4 cost or less, switch to active mode, and place it on your side of the field with its skills negated for the game. Differences. No, your opponent cannot activate when this card is removed from the battle area effects because the skills are negated before it hits the board. Last thing is I'm not really sure about is because you negate that card's skills for the game. It's when it goes to the drop area. If your opponent plays the card back out, if it has its skills, I'm assuming it would, but if it says it's negated for the game, not really sure about that. There hasn't been really too much Q&As about that, so I may have to ask a judge about that. Second effect is you can remove 7 Dragon Balls from your drop area, and then your leader gains triple attack for the turn, which means you're swinging 3 times and you're drawing 3 cards because your auto is not once per turn. Extremely good. Now, we'll go over the deck. Dragon Balls. 3 of the less, of the 2. 4 of the Empire Strikes Back. Dark Empire Strikes Back. This is a 0 cost. This is a 0 cost. Disregard the 1 because your leader's is a Mechikabura. Doesn't matter. This card, it's a 5k combo cost for it's basically like a 4-star ball. Has an activate main that is a remote serious bomb for 1 drops. Warp away any of those 1 drops. Black Mass Saiyan apparently is the card that people think is good against this deck. You just use this to warp it. Not a big deal. Play any one drop cantrips, piano, berry blue. Anything, just warp it. Doesn't matter. This card here, you pitch this card in another Dragon Ball or a Demon Realm race, draw 2 cards. This is one of the reasons why I said that it doesn't matter if you have over 50 cards. With your leader, you draw 2, grab 2 of these, so then you cut down 2 of the cards in your deck, pitch these 2, draw 2. Simple So you're moving 4 cards from your deck. The cycling in this deck is just absolutely nuts. I've almost decked myself out a few times just by how many cards I actually draw. So having the extra 6 cards in the deck does not matter at all. Also, this card, when you pitch it, uses effect, your opponent warps a battle card from the drop area. This card alone makes it so that early game against decks like Mechikabura, or decks like Vegeta, Dark Broly, decks that people have been just saying that, these decks destroy Mechikabura. This card demolishes Mechikabura. That's what they say. This card here makes Dark Broly and Vegeta's life very, very difficult because you're just warping everything that they're putting on the board. Sure, with Dark Broly, you can get this stuff back later on once they awaken, but you can make it very difficult for them to even do anything before they awaken, especially if you don't swing at them. Because now you're just using this to warp. They warp one of their 30Ks. Leader awakens, warp a 30K. A lot of the cards in the deck, you can just warp cards from their hand. Makes it very difficult. So those are the Dragon Balls. We'll go into the Ritual at Hand package, which is a lot of the cards that just come in the set. So we'll go over these guys first. I have these 3 in order of importance. And this guy is just a cantrip at the end. So all 3 of these have the same activate main. When you have 2 or more Dark Dragon Balls in the drop area, you play these cards out for 1 black, and then you have the ability to burst up to 2 Dark Dragon Balls from your deck to your drop area. Very effective. You can swing with your leader, grab 2 balls, drop the 2 balls, play out one of these, drop 2 more balls. And then you already have 4. That's not to mention if you draw more of them or if you had more of them before your mulligan. So you can end up awakening on turn 1 sometimes. I've done it maybe 2 or 3 games. Now, for their auto effects, when this card is played, warps the battle card from your opponent's drop area, warps the battle card on board 3 or less. Probably the worst out of the 3, which is why I only run 3 of it. Does come in handy, though, because there are decks that like to go wide with small battle cards. You can get rid of a lot of those with that. Salsa, otherwise known as the draw card in the deck. Play it, your opponent warps a card from their hand and draws a card. So not technically hand control, but it does make your opponent cycle, and it does fill up your opponent's warp area, which is the important thing in this deck. Second auto, when this card attacks, your opponent warps a battle card from their drop area, then this card draws a card. You cannot activate autos on this card for the duration of the turn. So if you have multiple of these that you want to play out, make sure you play them out before you attack, so then you can get the warp 1, draw 1 for your opponent. And when you swing at this card, if your opponent has no card in the drop area to warp, doesn't matter, because that's the first part of the auto. Second part of the auto says draw 1. So this card's drawing you a card every single turn. Same thing with the Black Smoke unison that says your opponent warps a card from the drop area, you draw a card, and then you cycle 2 balls into the drop area. Same effect technically, because of the semicolon. I think it's what it is, or whatever that punctuation's called. The second part of the auto still resolves, so you still get to draw a card. So it's pretty cool. Toa. Toa's the best one. Toa, you play it, warp a card from your opponent's board, and then they cycle a card in their hand to the warp, and then they draw a card. So warps a card on board, any cost, warps a card from their hand, and they draw a card, and now you have a blocker on board. Extremely good card. Mechikabura is cool. You play it, you draw 1, then you can tap 1 black energy, search top 7 to play out any of these cards. We only run 2, mainly because I only had 2 foils, and I wanted to run as many foil cards as I had because I almost have the entire deck foiled out except for like these 2 and some super combos. So I only had 2, so I only played 2, but honestly 2 is probably fine. The card's not going to stay on board enough for you to actually even probably hit that effect. In matchups where it's good, you have it. You can always get it back with Power Burst if you play Power Burst. Other than that, you play it for 1 and draw, or you pitch it off of your Empire Strikes Back. That's it. No other really effect for it. Next are 3 tech cards that I ran. One is the Dimensional Invoker. It's a searchable. It searches any of your Demon Realm races or any Evil Wizard card. It's cool. It's going to get cut because the card's actually not very good at all. This card's much better. Toa Rewriting History. Expansion Toa came out. This is like $10 at one point. I don't know why. Now it's like 30 cents. You play this card. You grab a Dark Dragon Ball from your deck or your drop area, add it to your hand. Obviously, you want to add it for your drop, from your deck. There was a few games, though, where I played it to grab this back from my drop area after I just used it, so I can pitch it with another Dragon Ball to draw another card, or, to draw 2 cards. So it is a very, very good card. The second effect doesn't matter in this deck, but you can play out the 2-drop Dark Broly or a Zeno card. It's cool, but it messes with the deck's consistency when you do stuff like that, so I'm just running it just for that effect only. But it's a cool card. Also can be pitched off of Dark Empire as well. For super combos, you run this over Vegeta, because Vegeta sucks in this deck. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't want to be at 4 life, ever. And this card's live turn 1, most turn 2. Sparking 5, card's live. You don't have to be at 4 life, you just have to have Sparking 5, and you draw a card. And if you run any searchers that search out demon cards, this card's searchable. But I'm taking out the one searcher I have in the deck for it, so it doesn't matter. But it's a super combo. More defensive stuff. We run 3 Darkness Judgment. Again, I only ran 3 of them because I didn't have the foil at the time. I have a 4th now, so I'm going to run all 4. That's why I didn't play it. It's a 2-part card. First effect is a counterattack. Second effect, on your opponent's turn, you can play this card for free if your opponent has more than 3 cards in the warp. Give a card 5k for the turn. You know what that means? It's a black Senzu Bean. Really good. Got to run 4 of them. I never missed the 4th one currently in this build of the deck, but I'm probably just going to take out that 1-drop tech card right there and just going to cycle the 4th Darkness Judgment in. If I see it turn 1, it's an easy charge. After that, it has pretty good effects. So 3 of those. More defense. We have 4 Poutines, 4 Supreme Kais. These are your other negates in the deck. These are your battle card negates. Supreme Kai is going to get cut down to 3 because 4 is a lot. Never needed it more than twice in a game. Poutine, I resolved it every single time I could. So this card, if you have 3 more, if your opponent has 3 more battle cards and 3 more cards in the warp, it becomes a 1 cost. You play it, negate, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, warp it, and it comes back at the end of their turn with its skills negated for that turn. This is basically a twofer. You play it, you negate a Unison or a Leader swing, and then warp a battle card, and you just negated that swing for the turn. Very good. Or you play it back out, and then it doesn't have its skills. It's pretty cool. Poutine is a black topo. You play it for 2. Bottom deck a card, and your opponent, every time they attack, they have to warp 2 cards from their hand. Very powerful. You're not going to cut this down. You're going to play this at 4. Play this at 3 or 4. Don't cut it down any farther than that. This is going to be a black staple for any black deck going forward. So it's a great card to have just if, it's I had the SPRs. I sold all my SPRs that I pulled from my case. But you just keep the SRs. I think they're like $5-6 right now. Just get them. And of course, all foil. That's how you had to do it. One Mechikabura. Obviously, I didn't show these, but the cards that I won from this tournament, I'm just gonna put the second one in. This is going in right after the video. 2 of these in the main board. Don't need any more of them. You're not gonna side them. You're gonna keep them in the main board. Card's too good to not have in the main board. Also, you can search out your Dragon Balls if you want to, so you can grab one of these off of your ability. If you keep it on board long enough, you can grab more of them out, but generally you're going to awaken turn 2, turn 3. So, but this card's just good, shuts down any card you want to, honestly. Another card that makes Dark Broly irrelevant in this matchup is you just play this on turn 2, play this on turn 3, opponent can't play any Dark Brolys the next turn. It's great. After you wipe their board, they can't do anything. So it's a very, very good card. So run this if you have it. Obviously, you don't need the winner stamp, but we run it because, weird flex. One of the only non-foil cards in the deck, so it's trash, right? Champa. This was a last-minute add. I wasn't going to add this. I was at 55, and I realized, I'm like, you know what? I need a Champa just for my leader swing, just in case it comes up. And lo and behold, this card won me my first round matchup, which I desperately needed, or else I wouldn't have won the tournament. So, just good to have in the deck. I'm not going to play a deck with one of those in there. 2 of the Toa Unison. After this video, I'm going to go and buy my 3rd one off TCG Player, because I think it's like $6 right now. More than that is not necessary. You don't need 4. If you want to run 4, you can, but in the current meta, you don't need 4. So it's a 1-drop. 20k, cannot attack until it has 3 or more markers on it. That's fine. -0, you can pitch a card from your hand to then warp a 3 or less on the board. Whenever your opponent's battle card is removed by a skill or KO, this card gains a marker once per turn. That's on your turn and your opponent's turn. So you can use your leader ability to remove a card from their board, and then this gains a marker. You can use the Supreme Kai Negate to warp a card from their board. This card gains a marker. You can use the Toa or the Shroom from earlier to warp a card off the board. Guess what? Gains a marker. You can swing at a card and KO it. This gains a marker. This card's extremely good, extremely underrated, and don't play the Black Smoke one because it's not good. Just play this. If you don't have it, buy it. It's really cheap right now. It's going to go back up once this deck starts winning more tournaments, which it will. This card is going to be very, very good. Also, it's -4. You just steal a card. So you just add more stealing to the deck. This card ended up winning me my last round against Sin. He was swinging in with his Triple Strike Champ card. Out-comboed him next turn. He had no cards in hand, but 3 life. So I just -4 stole the Sin and won the game. Also, I've done it in other matchups too, where you just steal cards. I've stolen the 6-drop Gogetas. I've stolen secret rares. This card has no requirement outside of it just has to choose the card, so it can't have barrier. Just demolishes everything else. So this card's absolutely nuts. You got to run it. Another card that's really nuts is the Kingdom's Lost King Vegeta. It's a 5k combo, which is very good. It's a 2-drop if your opponent has more than 3 cards in their warp, and it's got barrier. So it's a 19k, technically 20, but it's a 19k unique barrier. Comes into play, warps a card off your opponent's board, or you choose a card in their hand and warps it. When this card's in rest mode, your opponent cannot attack your leader unless they want to warp a card from their hand once per turn. So this card has kind of like a weird Deadly Defender on it. You play it, warp a card from their hand, swing at a unison, swing at whatever, and then your opponent has to kill this first before they can actually attack your leader. Or they attack your leader and they just warp a card. Then when this card's on board, you can use your Poutines, your Supreme Kais, your Dark Judgments to keep this card alive. And when they're trying to kill this, they just realize that they're just wasting more cards in their hands, so then they just pass and then you just win the game. Because that's how the game works. But this card is extremely good. If I had a 4th one, I'd probably run it. I'm gonna look up and see how much the 4th one is. Don't know if it's necessary, but this is another black staple that's gonna go in most black decks. So gotta run it. 2 Power Burst. You gotta run it. Card's live turn 2. It's sparking. So I never play this card for its energy cost. I just play it for free. Pick back up any of my 1-drops that I use as a combo or that they cleared off the board. Just gives you instant value. So it's a good card. 2 Dark King. This is probably the only card in the deck that I think was underperformed. I casted it twice. It lost me 1 game and it won me the other one. So you play it out for 4. If your opponent has more than 4 cards in the warp, you warp your opponent's entire board. Wish it targeted unisons, but it doesn't. And then you get to choose the 2 of their battle cards with energy cost 7 or less, and different card names, and play them with their skills negated for the game. So when I played this in I only lost 1 technical game out of the 3 format. The game that I lost, I played this and it just got negated, the attack, and it was a topo, so I couldn't really do anything. It wasn't topo, but it was topo, I think. The other game I played, I warped the entire board, and then I played out a super combo and I think a 25k. And normally I'll do that when I play this card. I'm usually looking for the super combos, and that way I can grab those super combos and then use them. Especially if they run 2 different super combos, it's really funny. I just get 2 free 10ks. So that's generally what I'm doing. And then I swing with this and I combo with those cards to get the max value out of it. This card's going to go in the side deck because there's not a ton of cards currently that go super wide that I want to use 4 energy for. But this is a good card to have, so I'm not going to get rid of it. 2 human extinction attacks. 2 felt great. 15k combo, warp a battle card from the drop area. If I didn't have these, I probably would have lost. Same thing with the Champa. This extra 15k combo power just came in handy. Ends up just clutching it because your opponent has to waste 2 super combos, or a super combo and 2 battle card, or like a super combo and 2 cards, or 4 cards. It hurts. And using your leader to win the game for you in a lot of matchups, being able to just pump it with this is just absolutely berserk. It's good that these cards can't target unisons, or else I think all of these the 15k combos would be extremely broken. Overwhelm of Choice, fighting against Fates, you know the vibes. 25k dual attack for free. You can run Secret ID as well. This is the best one. We normally overwhelm. Obviously, you don't overwhelm until you actually use your ball effect. So you swing 3 times, or you just pop it and then play this and then swing at this first. But you can do whatever. But you don't use the overwhelm until you actually use your leader ability. But just you have one in the deck. I saw it every single game, whether I played it or I combo with it. So, Dark King ratio, 1 promo, 2 of the SRs. Truthfully, I actually never played this out once. I'm glad I bought them though, because they're like $30 now. But I only never played out once. Played this guy out, won me. I think 2 of my rounds. So he comes out for 4 energy. If your opponent has more than 4 cards in the warp, he comes out for 5. You can't play him out from any other skills. They both have deflect. He has double strike. He has triple strike. Now this is where the cards start getting a little bit interesting. So when this card attacks, you get to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards in the drop and warp them. This is the first card in the deck that you get to choose the card that goes to the warp from the drop area. So you choose 2. Then, if your opponent has more than 10 cards in the warp, you restand this guy. And now you have a 25k triple strike dual attack. What's even better is when this card attacks, if your opponent activates a counter skill during this card's attack, they then have to warp a life once per turn. Very, very powerful. This alone, you get your opponent down to 1 life. They then have to out combo this, because if they decide to negate it, or they activate a counter attack in that window, so Wolfang Fist, Release from Evil, blah 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 blah. This auto goes through, then it hits him. So, very, very powerful. I think Release from Evil may be the only card that technically would hit it, outside of Petrification, because I think those are the only 2 cards that stop impending autos. But I'm not sure about the Release from Evil. So, this card here, same idea. You swing at this card. When this card swings, you burn a life from your opponent's life bar for every 10 cards in their warp. So when you're, instead of counting cards in their deck, counting cards in their hand, you count cards in their warp. They have 20 cards in the warp. When you swing at this, it's automatically going to deal 2 damage. That alone can end up winning you the game. Now when you do this, if you warp a life from your opponent's life, you have to at the warp. Yeah, then you warp 1 life from your board. It's not 1 per 1, so it's not like if you deal 3 damage to them, you deal 3 damage to yourself. It's if you burn 1 life at the minimum, you have to burn a life. But if you get it on the 1, you play this for 5 and then swing, and then the game's over. They can't do anything unless they are playing Petrification, or if I had found out the judge ruling for Release from Evil. That's the only thing that affects it. I think. I don't think Release from Evil actually does it, but I have to just check. I'm sure maybe a judge or somebody will let me know. If they can find the actual ruling for me, that'd be great. But this card, if at the minimum, this card's a triple strike, because you swing once, you burn a life. That's 1. Now you're swinging for double strike. So this is a 5k, indefinite 1 damage, and then 2 more. If you can burn more than 2 damage from your opponent, it's probably game. It's really hard to out combo this kind of stuff. And this is a 5k combo card, which is cool too. But yeah, this card, people should have picked them up early, but now that the deck is going to be top tier at some point, these cards are going to go up and no one's going to be able to get them. It's going to be the next Dark Broly stuff, so sucks if you didn't get them. But yeah, I ran the Lineage Secret Rare. Nicholas ran Sin, which I think is cool. I think the Sin is a good Secret Rare, don't get me wrong. I think it's a little bit worse than Supreme Kai, but also better than Supreme Kai in some other ways, because you can also use that card as a dual attack double strike, which I think is cool. This is the best one, though. This also affects with your Toa Unison, which is kind of funny, but I like playing this because people probably are going to think I'm playing Sin, because Nicholas, I think it's his name, Nicholas, topped the PPG event, so people are going to always think, because so far that's the only this deck that is topped. We've only had 1 event, but they're going to look at that deck and go, okay, he's playing Sin. Okay, he's playing Supreme Kai. This is the best one. You will steal games with this. And really all you have to do is steal 1 game. 1 game is all that matters. I've played this deck in 2 different tournaments, a store championship and a tournament that we had beforehand. I'm undefeated in every game that I play with Mechikabura in tournament play. 10-0, 9-0, something like that. No one knows what secret rare I'm playing because everyone knows I love Supreme Kai so much. So then when they swing with the battle card and combo up to a certain point, I just take it and then they go, oh, that makes sense. And then then game 2 they have to play on the heels of not wanting to combo too much with this because I can just steal it at any point. So I think it's the best one you can run. But if you have Sin, run Sin. Obviously, you guys know I have Supreme Kai since I play it in every single deck and I talk about it in every single video. But Supreme Kai is not needed in this variation of the deck. This is just the better one. Now for the sideboard. Sideboard's interesting. I'm going to end up changing some stuff, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to change in the main board and the sideboard after I'm done showing it. 2 BMS. 2 of this card that probably no one in the game has played outside of me. Sin, Noble Supremacy. So it's a 1-drop that locks your opponent out from attacking with cards that are 7 or more, as long as you have 3 or less energy. And this is just for the turn. What's interesting is that we have 2 Sin Shinran players who play at our locals. One of them I know has access to Xenocell. So my thought was, if I play this, I'm just not going to charge more than 3 energy, and I'm going to keep this in my hand, and when I get to turn 2, turn 3, play this. Next turn they can't play Sin, not going to charge the next turn, going to play it again, and wait till I get enough cards in my hand to where I can actually play some defense, and then go from there. Also, you can just play it. Just stops your opponent from attacking with Sin, whether you're playing against Mecha Frieza, whether you're playing against any yellow deck or green deck that's playing Xenocell. Very, very good. Also works against Blue Gohan. If you just don't charge for a turn and play this, they can't attack with the 10-drop. So just stops some plays. It's a very cool card, and also draws you a card as well. 2 the Wish Granter, the triple strike. Giving your leader 15k in triple strike it's cute. I never used it once. I put it in there just in case so I can do it for the memes, but I think this card's really bad. I think there's only a few matchups where it actually makes sense, which is why it's going to be in the sideboard, which is Dark Broly, because Dark Broly can't defend against 330k triple strike swings. Neither can Vegex. So any black deck you play against, you just put this right in the deck, then you just demolish them, and you just proceed to take all their cards and win the game. 2 Super Kamehamehas. Never played it once. Sideboarded it in almost every game. Never saw it when I needed to. You need to be at 4 life, which is the problem. So black needs a better counterplay in this type of window where we can use it. But it's cool. It's going to stay in the sideboard because just in case I ever need it. 2 Deborah was for Xenocell and Black Smoke and things like that. Sided it in. I generally pitched it off of my the Empire Strikes Back because it's a Demon Realm race. I just pitched it because the card never did anything for me. Few more one-ofs. Another one of the promos, another draw, another Power Burst. Power Burst will stay. This is going to go in the main board. This is going to get thrown back in the box, in the extra box, because we're not going to play it. And then the last 2 cards, probably the 2 best cards in the sideboard, which is the Clash of the Masked Warriors. For 1, the art on this card is sick. For 2, this is an activate battle. You choose your opponent's unison, and your leader cannot take damage. Your opponent has to choose, basically. They either remove a marker from that unison, or your leader does not take damage from unisons with strike skills for the battle. What that means is that double strike, triple strike, and quad strike deal 0 damage to you. The benefit of this is that either way you are plussing, because when your opponent swings in with their unison, and obviously there's a lot of cards that don't work against unisons, they combo up to a ridiculous amount. You play this for 1, so now they either A, remove the marker, or B, you take no damage. So let's say they choose the latter. So they choose, you don't take damage, so now they have to swing again in order to get through, and then you can always negate that attack, or now you have the ability to out combo because they don't have as many cards. Let's say they choose the first one. Well, when they remove a marker from a unison, rules say when a unison's power or markers are manipulated in a decreasing fashion, so they're reduced. So either their power level is reduced, or they lose a marker. Their effects are reverted back to its original power. So hypothetically, if someone's swinging at you with the yellow Vegeta, the one that you get dual attack, double strike, gains 5k, blah 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 blah. Let's say they combo up to like 50, 60k. on their unison, right? You play this, they remove a marker. Well, generally that card's played with 3 energy, goes up to 4, then minus is 3, so it has one marker left, so then it would pop the unison, so the battle would be over. Or they choose to not do that, and then you take 0 damage for that attack. Pretty powerful. Let's say they played it and it has 2 markers on it. When they remove that marker from it, the card then loses its 5k, loses its double strike, and loses its dual attack. Pretty powerful. So this is a card you should be sideboarding in every single deck that you play in until the format no longer has unisons in it. This card is going to be like the new Black Mass Saiyan for sideboards because of how powerful unisons are, especially when you have unisons that have strike abilities. Now this is also when you give a unison double strike, because that unison now has that ability. You can use it then to stop it from dealing damage. Now, some sideboard changes or just main board changes in general. Obviously, we're going to add a 4th Darkness Judgment. We're going to end up taking this out of the main board and the sideboard because it's a trash card. We're going to add in another Mechikabura because we need to. And really, other than that, there's some other spice that I'm going to throw in, but I'm going to wait till after the regional that we're playing at the end of the month in Columbus. So if I end up playing well in it, I'll show you guys what I have up my sleeve that I'm going to end up bringing into the deck. So, but make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. I will have a conversation with anybody in a positive way about this deck. I know there's just been so much negativity running around this deck, and it's really frustrating, especially when a lot of people don't know how the deck plays, especially when I know the deck plays very, very well too. So, but I'm not going to ramble on about it anymore. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel as always. Like and subscribe. And I was going to say I may do some form of giveaway once we hit 1,000 subs. We're getting pretty close. I got to see what I can do for you guys for supporting me through the last year and some months. So thank you guys as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.